Hi guys, in today's video, as promised, we will look at some useful maps, and let's start with the first map. So this isn't even a map yet, but I assume that if you want to start Geoguessr, you need to be able to do most of these. This website is called Geoguessr. It was created by the developers of Geoguessr. Basically, here you can learn all the countries of the different continents, all the flags and all the capitals. So this is really important to know at least most of it before even you start Geoguessr. Level beginner, which most of the maps will be. So in the first map, you can see which countries drive on the left and drive on the right. All of which is red drives on the right side. So let's start with the first continent, Europe. If you see here, the UK, Ireland, Malta and Cyprus drives on the left, which is not that difficult to remember. Basically, all Oceania drives on the left, as it was colonized by the UK, so it's not difficult to remember. Then in North America, they drive on the right, and basically in South America as well. Yes. Then Africa. Here, if you look at Kenya and Uganda, basically from them to south, every country drives on the left, and it's not that difficult to remember, I believe. So you just have to take Uganda and Kenya, and draw a line basically vertically south, and you get all the left-hand driver countries in Africa. Asia is a bit more complex, but I think you can remember it. If you look at India and almost all the neighboring countries of it, they all drive on the left. Only China is the exemption. Also, Japan drives on the left. Macau and Hong Kong also drives on the left. You just have to remember this. And then if you look at Thailand, basically everything south from that drives on the left as well, and the Philippines is an exemption for this. So yes, it's pretty important to remember this. I believe it's not that difficult, and it helps a lot. Yes, then look at the center lines. There's three main types of this. It's not that much. We will manage to learn this together. So most of Eurasia has white center line and white outer line on the roads. The exemption is Norway, where they have a yellow center line and they have a white outer line. And also Ireland is an exemption, which is the opposite of this. They have white center line and yellow outer line. Also, this is not 100%, like it doesn't work every time. For example, in Finland, you may see yellow center line, but most of the times it works. Then in the Americas, most of them has a yellow center line and white outer lines. So basically you just have to learn this for the Americas, and you have to remember that Chile is an exemption. They are similar to the European style, which is white center line and white outer line. Also, the northern African countries, they have the European style, but if you go south to South African Republic, Lesotho, Eswatini, I believe these are the countries which have Google Street View. They have a white center line and yellow outer line. Also, it's the same for Oman, Israel and Jordan, and Nepal. You just have to remember these. It will be quite a lot after we went through all the maps, but these are really useful. In Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, Argentina, Turkey, Uruguay, it's not that useful, and it can be a bit messed up, so you don't really have to remember it. One more thing, in Eastern Asia can be useful to remember that Laos and Malaysia uses the European style, and Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam and South Korea uses the American style. Let's go to the third map, which is really important to know if you don't want to guess a country which doesn't even have coverage. Basically, if you look at it, most of Europe has coverage. The only exception is Belarus. The Middle East don't really have coverage, only Kazakhstan. And then Japan also has. Basically, most of the Americas have most of Europe. In Africa, which you have to remember, they have in Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Kenya, and then on the south, Eswatini, Lesotho, South Africa, and Botswana and Namibia. At the Arabic Peninsula, Oman has coverage. It was released last year. The UAE and Qatar. Then India and its bordering countries have, besides China. And also from Thailand to south, every country has coverage besides Papua New Guinea. And yes, South Korea and Japan also has coverage, which are important to mention. As I mentioned, Belarus and China, but also Saudi Arabia is quite surprising that it doesn't have all the countries around Myanmar have coverage, and it doesn't have. Let's go to the next map, which is about warning signs. Here we won't spend too much time. The two important signs to know are the American style, which has a black outer line and it's yellow in the middle and it's diamond shaped. It's the same for the whole Americas. The little islands are the exemption, but that's more advanced level, so we won't take a look at it today. And also Oceania has this sign, and everything south from Thailand. And also there's the European style, which exists in most of Europe, most of Asia, and most of Africa. Another useful tip, besides these two signs, is that Poland, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland, and also Greece has a third kind of sign, which is a triangle, and it's red on the outer line and yellow in the middle. It's quite easy to mix up these with other European countries, so it can be really useful. Let's go to the next map. In this map, we will go through really quick. We will just look at three types of pole types. In North America, basically only the USA and Canada, they have wooden poles, which is true for almost every African country which have Google Street View. Besides Nigeria and Senegal, they have concrete. and also is true for Australia, Oman, the UAE, and also the Northern Europe. The most common type in Asia, which is basically true in every Asian country, is that they have a concrete pause, and it's true in South America and Mexico. The only two countries which have metal pause are Tunisia and Greenland, and also Bhutan. So there's 3 countries. Let's go to the next map, the license plates. These are really useful in Geoguessr because you can tell a lot about them. Of course, you know the European style. It has a white background and it has that blue stripe. In Europe, the only 2 countries which have different ones, they have an orange background, is the UK and the Netherlands. In most of the Americas, they have a white background. The exemption here is Colombia. They have the style of the UK, and it's also true for Botswana. In Eastern Asia, many countries have the black background, such as the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and also Myanmar, but it doesn't show on the Geoguessr as it's not covered. Let's go to the next map. It's also about the license plates. There's gonna be 3 types. The tall and short, which is basically only Colombia and Japan. There's short license plates, which is basically on the western coast of the Americas, besides Ecuador and Colombia. And there's also long license plate, which is true in most of Eurasia and Brazil and Uruguay. In Italy, Malta and Switzerland, there can be mixed types. If you know that you are in Europe and it has a short license plate or different than it would be in other European countries, you can assume that it's probably Italy. Let's go to the next map. It's about the stop signs. The stop sign is pretty similar everywhere around the world. It's octagonal shaped and red, and it says stop as in English. However, South America is a bit different because it says pare, and also Mexico is different as it says ato. In Asia, which can be useful, is that in Turkey they say dur, and in Malaysia they say behrenti. So if you remember these, it can be useful in South America, Mexico and Malaysia, and also in Turkey. Let's go to the next map. So how likely is that I encounter a flat landscape? In most of the world, it's likely. However, let's see the countries where it's not that common to have a flat landscape. It's basically, again, the western side of the Americas, and the exemptions are here: Panama, the US and Canada. Southern Europe, basically every country which borders the Mediterranean Sea, besides France, probably doesn't have a flat landscape. It also is true for Norway. In Asia, it's Indonesia, Philippines, Taiwan, Vietnam, India. You just have to remember these. I don't really know how to help to learn this, but you will manage. and it's also true for New Zealand, where it's almost never flat, is Japan, Nepal, Bhutan, South Korea, Albania, Slovenia, and North Macedonia, and also Lesotho, which is really useful if you know that you are either in Lesotho or Eswatini. Most of the times, if it's really the opposite of flat, you will be in Lesotho. Let's go a bit more advanced. Here we will look at the pedestrian signs in Europe. It's pretty similar, all of them, but also a bit different in almost every country. So let's look at them. In Spain, they have 8 stripes, which is really different from the others. Most of them has 5 stripes. Poland is also different, as it has a solid line. Russia, Ukraine, Estonia, and Lithuania have only 3 stripes, so it's the other end of the spectrum, as Spain had 8, and these countries have only 3, and the normal is 5. In the UK and Ireland, they don't have a blue sign like this. And in Greece, Austria, and Belgium, they have 2 dashed lines, which makes it also different from the other pedestrian signs. Let's go to look at some tips and tricks I already know, but it can be useful for you as well. First, look at bollards from 2 countries. The first one is Mexico, which you can easily remember is that the lower part of the bollard is black and most of it is white, and it's most of the time is gonna be Mexico. It can have a yellow stripe on the top of it, but the main exoticness of this bollard is that mostly white, and on the bottom it's black. And the other country is Ecuador, which is easy to remember as it is cut in half by the equator, and it has 2 red parts on the bollard, and most of it is white. So yes, just remember it has 2 red parts because in Ecuador is cut in half by the equator. So yes, that's about bollards. And every Geoguessr player's favorite is the Ghana black tape. Basically, if you see a black tape on the roof of the car, it's gonna be Ghana. The only exception here is that the island Reunion also has this black tape, but Ghana will many more times show up on Geoguessr, and you can easily differentiate the 2 countries by the nature of it. It's really different. Then let's see the Nigerian follow car. It's always a police car. It has the blue and red siren on it, and basically if you go anywhere in Nigeria, you will see this car. It might be a different car, but it's always a police car and it has the sirens. Let's look at the Mongolian snorkel. If you see that snorkel in the front of the car, it's gonna be Mongolia, and also it has these red mirrors, so it's easy to remember. But most of the time you will find this around the capital city, so around Ulaanbaatar. If you are further away from the capital, you will see the Mongolian tent, which basically you cannot see anywhere else. It has a tent on the top of the front of the car, so it's also again really easy to remember it also has a snorkel. Basically, this is the only country which have this combination of snorkel and the tent on the roof. So yes, that was it for today. If you enjoyed, please come back tomorrow for tomorrow's video. We are going to play some Geoguessr, and I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video.